Do you know what is awesome in pro wrestling? When a WWE title changes hands. It gets us all excited, and even when a bad guy is victorious, we go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. But in this case, it stands to reason that if it happens more than once, we're all gonna lose our minds. So I am Simon from What Culture. Please do hit that subscribe button, and thank you very much for your time. And indeed, this is 10 times WWE Championships changed hands twice in the same night. Number 10, TLC 2011. So it went like this. Mark Henry was the champion who lost it to The Big Show, who then lost it to Daniel Bryan. Wrestling. You won't be shocked to hear that a lot of names on this list come courtesy of a Money in the Bank cash-in, and here it was Bryan who walked away as the World Heavyweight Champion after Mark Henry and The Big Show had engaged in a chairs match. Amazingly, this wasn't the oddest stipulation on the card, as Triple H also fought Kevin Nash in a sledgehammer match, which is basically attempted murder. And yes, this all tied into the summer of Punk. Don't worry about it. Henry was doing alright in 2011 too, but still fell foul of the KO punch here to give The Big Show his first reign with the big gold belt since WCW, and it lasted all of a few minutes. Mark, who was livid about his loss, DDT'd The Big Show onto a pile of chairs when Daniel ran to the ring with a referee and pulled off quite the coup. It was the American Dragon's first world championship in WWE and the 10th consecutive successful cash-in. Oddly, it was also the second where the world's strongest man had helped out beforehand, so he really needs to control his own damn anger. Number 9, the February 15th, 2011 SmackDown. We stay in 2011 next, and yet this time, things were out of control on SmackDown. Now, admittedly, we started this night with Vacant as the champion, but man, that dude has had some incredible runs. Vicky Guerrero cared not for this and simply handed the World Heavyweight title to her new love Dolph Ziggler, and boom, that's one. It was all going to tie into the story, as Vicky had also abused her general manager powers to strip Edge of the belt after erroneous accusations about an attack on Teddy Long when Teddy decided he was going to tell the truth. It wasn't the Rated R superstar that did this, and in fact, he was such good buddies with Adam Copeland that we were going to have a title match right now. I can only imagine how hard it was for Long to do this instead of screaming it's a 6-man tag team match. Of course, it ended with Edge righting those wrongs, which wasn't great for Dolph. His reign didn't even last an evening. Whoops. Number 8, Extreme Rules 2009. At least this focused on a bunch of dudes who should have been the centerpiece of WWE back in 2009. The pay-per-view began with Edge, the World Heavyweight Champion, and a pumped-up crowd who were desperate to see Jeff Hardy beat him. Ever since he had toyed with the WWE title early in the year, the audience had decided it was his time. So when he beat the Rated R superstar to claim his first run with the big gold belt, everybody was excited. And then CM Punk's music hit. By this point, everybody knew what it meant, and you could cut the tension with a knife. As WWE very much enjoyed playing around with the ups and the downs of Hardy, he got whammed with the go to sleep, and yep, we had a brand new champion. It still created quite the reaction, because I'm not sure anybody thought Punk would get anywhere near this, but that was the beauty of the briefcase. It gave opportunities to those who should have got them anyway. It wasn't great for Jeff, as once more he only had about 3 minutes to enjoy this, but it was slightly different. The voice of the voiceless was regarded in a similar vein, so the fact that either guys got their hands on an important title meant something. Maybe the tide was turning. I mean, that wasn't the case, but don't worry about it. Just enjoy it for what it was. Number 7, Money in the Bank 2016. Or the Night of the Shield, as it will forever be known. To me, anyway. From this night, all 3 members were able to say that they were the WWE champion. It kind of made sense after the fact, as this was the point of the group. Take a trio of guys and get them to the top of the card. Boom. This wasn't anything to do with the Freebird rule either. It was just chaos. Dean Ambrose was already on a roll when he won the Money in the Bank briefcase early in the evening, whereas Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins were clashing in the main event. Roman held the gold but had been slapped on the wrist following a wellness violation, which is when the call was made for him to lose the WWE title to Rollins. I mean, the story wrote itself. The shocking part was what happened after Rollins had got a clean pinfall, because the Lunatic Fringe's music hit, and yeah, Ambrose stormed out, cashed in his prize, and after a dirty deeds, became the new champion, and the 3rd champion in as many minutes. It was sort of satisfying, because while it was clear Roman and Seth were going to get their due at this level, Dean felt like he may not, which was stupid. In many ways, he was the best of the bunch, so the fact he finally did make it here, well, it was just nice. It also meant the Shield finally completed their journey, as all 3 did make it to the tippy top, which is why it's bizarre we haven't tried this again since. It clearly works. Number 6, Survivor Series 2015. Vacant was the man of the hour back in November 2015 after Seth Rollins was forced to relinquish when he suffered an injury. It was horrible. A tournament was announced to sort this situation when amazingly the finals came down to Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. By this point it was obvious what WWE wanted to do, and yet they just wouldn't pull the damn trigger. It was infuriating because while the fans didn't want it, if management just got it over and done with, we could move on. And yet they didn't. Clearly worried about the reaction, which makes it even more silly, Reigns did get the victory following a spear as confetti fell from the ceiling. Totally mad because Triple H came to the ring to celebrate when Roman speared him out of his boots, when Sheamus also appeared, cashed in his Money in the Bank briefcase, and after some brogue kicks, became the new champ. What on earth was going on? It left the crowd so confused they didn't know what to do because it meant more shenanigans with Reigns when there was no more needed. Just get it over and done with. The pay-per-view then went off air with Roman looking totally dumbfounded, and we know what was coming after this. Another 12 months of pure carnage. Number 5, SummerSlam 2013. I am biased towards this event as I was there live. For some reason, when you see a swerve firsthand, it just makes it more fun. John Cena was the champion, though, and had handpicked Daniel Bryan as his challenger because the audience had demanded it. This was smart by Cena, as nothing else would have been accepted, and yeah, they had a great main event, and it was so much fun. The Yes-Man got the massive win, too, after the running knee, and go back and watch the reaction to this. It was like seeing your best friend make it to the top, and for a few minutes, everybody was over the moon. And once again, it got all crazy. Because special guest referee Triple H soon showed his true colors as he dropped Bryan with the pedigree when Randy Orton's theme hit, who also just so happened to be Mr. Money in the Bank. This was the first signs of the authority, and given that Daniel was unconscious, Orton pinned him, and yeah, we had a new champion again. SummerSlam then went off air with the 2 Evolution members standing tall. I was having a blast with this. Not least because before the pay-per-view, I met Wade Barrett, who was convinced I was his friend Steve. Number 4, the 25th of July 2011 Raw. See, we are back to 2011. What a bonkers 12 months. After Punk had defeated John Cena at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, he left the company. Yep, he put the title in the fridge and he was done. This was all part of the story, and really we shouldn't have seen Punk for months, or a good few weeks at worst. It did feel like this was the plan as Vacant became the man once more when a tournament was announced between Rey Mysterio, Dolph Ziggler, Jack Swagger, R-Truth, Kofi Kingston, Alberto Del Rio, The Miz, and Alex Riley. Mysterio did win, which was actually quite satisfying, when Cena demanded a title match that night, and he won. What? So we crowned Rey for all of a few seconds? I'm exaggerating, but that's ridiculous. After Big Match John had got the win too and put the belt around his waist, CM Punk's music hit, and we had just hit fast forward on everything. What could have lasted ages was over almost instantly. It did set up an interesting match at SummerSlam as we had champion versus champion, but given what happened at the end of that thing, well, it wasn't ideal now, was it? Poor Mysterio too. Why did he have to suffer? Number 3, the Elimination Chamber 2010. At least this show was totally upended by a bad guy. That makes sense. The pay-per-view started with Sheamus defending his world title in the Chamber against Randy Orton, Ted DiBiase Jr., Kofi Kingston, Triple H, and John Cena, and the Irishman didn't make it to the final 2. A pedigree got rid of him, allowing Cena to surprise the game with the STF, and he was at the top of the mountain once more. Do-do-da-do. In a throwback to what happened in 2006, though, Vince McMahon then walked out and said he would be on his way to WrestleMania if he could go through one last challenge. Ruh-roh. To make matters worse, it was Batista who ended Cena with the Batista Bomb, leading him to a second WWE Championship reign. I would say people were mad, but you know the deal. Cena loses, fans happy. It was done so we could do Cena and the Animal on the grandest stage of them all, as both guys kind of filled a similar role. And it was fine. Number 2, No Mercy 2007. John Cena is back once again, although this time he lost the title due to injury. The end result was going to be his incredible return at the Royal Rumble, but it meant No Mercy 2007 needed some extra oomph. So that's what we did do, and it was insane. It began when Vince McMahon just gave the belt to Randy Orton because why bother with a story, when Triple H interrupted, said this was BS, and he beat the Viper for the belt. That is genuinely what happened, all in the space of a few minutes. As Hunter vs. Umaga was already booked for the show, Trips then had to get through that, and as he was now the new Cena or something, he also had to face Orton again in the main event. Makes sense? It shouldn't. It was ludicrous. This was also under last man standing rules, which Randy won. So yeah, he added an extra 2 reigns to his tally in a single evening, and I do believe that's mad. Although I will say at least it wasn't boring, and look, go and watch this. Did people ever react to it? Number 1, WrestleMania 9. I mean, what else, right? No Money in the Bank or other shenanigans. Just egos out of control. The ultimate example of WWE not reading the room, our main event at WrestleMania 9 was Yokozuna versus Bret Hart. Hulk Hogan's all-encompassing reign was done, and even though he would team with Brutus Beefcake on this evening, he was nowhere near the championship until Hulk decided that he should be. Because after Zuna's manager Mr. Fuji had thrown salt in the Hitman's eyes, Yoko pinned him to win the WWF title, and nobody could believe it. As Hogan had been watching this though, he got in the bad guy's face and demanded a match for the flipping title. Now why anybody would accept this I do not know, but they did, and a leg drop later, Hulkamania was back, even though nobody wanted that. Now sure, the fans live loved it because of the swerve reaction we've already discussed, but go and look at the bigger picture with this. By the King of the Ring, Yoko was the champ again, with Hogan realizing he was done and he left for good. If you want to go and call this one of the biggest mishaps in wrestling history, I won't argue with you. Because seriously, what a silly thing to go and do. Knowing other times the WWE Championship changed twice in the same night? Make sure you let us know in the comments below before you like the video, share the video, and subscribe. Then head over to whatculture.com where you can read articles like this with your eyes. Make sure you come follow us on social media at WhatCultureWWE and Simon316. I want to make sure today that you just have the best 24 hours ever. So I've got my eyes closed and my fingers crossed and my tootsie toes too. I know you're going to do it. Go and smash it.